Hello friend, I cannot even begin to pretend like I know how the heck to tell you what you need to do in order to live your dream life. Each of us has our very unique life circumstances, and I think that it would be quite ignorant of me to assume that I know what you need to do to live your dream life. We are, however, all human. And no matter the color of your skin or your ethnicity or your religion, your culture, your upbringing, no matter all of that, I think that each and every single one of us wants to matter. I think that we want to be loved and we want to be happy. And I think that a lot of us would like to have financial freedom while doing these things. I can tell you right now that you do matter and you are so loved, and maybe if you're not happy at the moment, you are more than capable of being happy, and you're more than capable of doing all of these things while having more than enough money for yourself and your loved ones. You are more than capable of living your dream life. And I can't tell you exactly how, but I can tell you a few of the things that have helped me along my way. I feel like in order to do this in the most effective way, I need to share a bit of my background so that you guys know where exactly I'm coming from. My name is Morgan, and I am officially a professional YouTuber, videographer, Patreon creator, and small business owner. And I can officially say that I am living my dream life. However, this hasn't all come to fruition until the last year, but it is something that I've been working on and dreaming up ever since I was 15 years old. I've filmed a more detailed video about my post-graduation identity crisis, and I've often spoken about my struggles with money, but to just really quickly summarize, growing up, money was most always a struggle for my family. My dad had to work multiple jobs, and my mom had the craziest schedules, like working nights so much of the time and working weekends and picking up any overtime she could get. And then when I was finally financially independent, I found myself with thousands upon thousands of dollars in debt with student loans and a huge identity crisis on my hands. Up until last year, in fact, I constantly struggled with a lack of self-confidence and no clear direction in my life, and just constant financial turmoil. I can remember being continually disappointed in myself and just wondering how I had gotten to that point, why I hadn't been able to figure out a full-time job, or why no matter how hard I tried, things just did not seem to work out for me. And I remember wondering where that confident person that I used to be had gone, because I was no longer her. I remember deciding that that was it, that things were only gonna go up from there. That had to be rock bottom. After that fateful day, I remembered my childhood dreams, and I admitted to myself what my biggest, craziest dreams were. And they were that I wanted to travel the world and make videos for a living. I wanted to be a YouTuber. I wanted to create art and sell it. I wanted to end the rat race of trying and failing to get a full-time job at companies that made me miserable. I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to be free and wild and full of that energy for life that is so attractive about fully alive people. I wanted that, and I really do feel like I have it now. And these are 10 tips, steps, things, ideas that have helped me along the way. The first is to never stop learning. Study the things that interest you. They do not have to be cool or interesting to other people, but if they interest you even just the littlest bit, chase them, go after them. I think that by learning new things, you will have so many unique experiences and meet so many like-minded individuals. You'll make friends, or you'll learn about someone who inspires you so much that you have a clearer direction of how you want your life to be or who you want to be. Essentially, in dedicating time to learning the things that you care most about, you will inevitably find a sense of belonging. And some of the ways that I like to practice this are by spending 30 minutes each morning just learning something new. I love studying Spanish or learning illustration. I'm fascinated by plants and nutrition. The list goes on. But yes, I think that it does one a lot of good to always be learning, to always be curious about the things around you. Moving on, when creating your dream life, I think it's extremely important to focus on friends. I think that having a core group of supportive friends is absolutely essential to happiness. Your friends will come and they will go. Let them. I know that it is the most uncomfortable or just such a lonely, terrible feeling to have a friend kind of disappear from your life. But if your friend is fading from your life, it could be that you've each played the part that you needed to in each other's lives, and it's time to move on, and that is okay. Do not exhaust yourself by overcompensating in a friendship. Make sure that you get out exactly what you put in any relationship. If you find that you are often going out of your way for a friend and not getting the same in return, they're likely draining your energy, and it is time to move on. And again, that is totally okay. The same goes for if you feel like your friends aren't very supportive of the person that you want to be, or you feel judged by them for being who you truly are. You don't need that. That is toxic. You deserve to be around people who lift you up and who are excited for you and who want you to live your dream life. You do not need anyone's permission to pursue your dream life or to live and be the best version of yourself. But you should not feel any sort of judgment from your friends for doing so. I'm not saying that it has to be all about you and your friends have to be your biggest fan. I'm just saying that it's really important to feel accepted by the people you surround yourself with the most. In the same way, make sure that you're showing up for your friends as much as they show up for you. It is a healthy, wonderful thing to care for another person and be a good friend. Also, be open to new friendships. Friends come in all shapes, sizes, colors, you name it, and they can be found in the most unexpected areas. So always be open to new friendships. So yes, I think that friends are absolutely key in living a full, happy life, your dream life. That being said, I also think that it's really, really important to be okay with being alone. The best friend that you could have is yourself, and it's important to prioritize time with yourself and only yourself. I think that alone time is essential for checking in with yourself and understanding who you are aside from anybody else's judgment or influence. So try scheduling one day a week in which you have a select number of hours to dedicate entirely to yourself. Use this time to do the things that you love to do, but entirely by yourself, and that means also disconnecting from social media. So go for a walk or take yourself to that really cozy looking cafe that you've really been wanting to try. Go and see an exhibit. Try watercoloring or making something fun. I don't know, the list goes on. There are so many really fun, intriguing things to try when it's just you. You are more than worthy of your own time, and by prioritizing this time alone, it will help you to realize what it is that actually makes you happy and what your dream life actually looks like. And this kind of self-care that comes from quality alone time plays a huge part in your mental health, I think, which is my next point. Health should be a huge priority when dreaming up your dream life. When you feel healthy, it improves literally every single other aspect of your life. And you need to care for yourself the same way that you would care for someone that you really, really love. It is important to make sure that you get enough sleep, You know how much sleep you need. It is important that you move your body when you can and that you eat nutritious food. Make time to journal in order to process your thoughts. Schedule time for fun. Go to therapy. Your mental health is just as, if not more, important than your physical health. Some ways that I prioritize my health each and every single week are drinking 2 liters of water at least every single day, or eating only whole foods before 12 p.m. So usually in the mornings I'll have a lot of berries and other fruit. I stretch daily, and I also journal most every morning, no matter what. And I try to have a very mindful, relaxing morning routine, and this is something that I really, really love and has me excited to wake up in the mornings. Next is perhaps the most elusive step of them all, and that is to get clear on how exactly you want to spend your life. I don't know why this is so difficult, but it is. It was so difficult for me, and it's still something that I'm working on, and it's something that most everyone I know is working on. But a question that really, really helped me get clear on what it is that I want to do with my life, and that I'm sure you've been asked before, is if you knew you could not fail, if it was impossible to fail, what would you do with your life? What would you do? Who would you be if you could not fail? Go ahead and pause this video and think about it and get really honest with yourself. I'm going to take a sip of tea just in case you don't actually pause the video. Peppermint. What is it that makes you come alive? And it doesn't have to be work-oriented. It can be crocheting, it can be bird watching, it can be cooking, it can be running. Just any little thing that makes you feel that zest for life. When you are able to recognize these things and make it to where you do more of them in your life, you will inevitably live a fuller, more happy life. That being said, your dream doesn't always have to be creative or this totally non-work related type thing. Like a career in business or whatever can be equally as satisfying. And if you are someone who is very much career structure oriented, I think that a really great practice to help you get towards your dream life is to ask yourself, what is your ideal job description? A lot of times when it comes to the professional world, we focus on job title, but if you stop and ignore that because that's more ego, if you think of your job description, I think you'll be a lot happier. So what do you want your work day to look like? What does your first half of the day look like? When do you wake up? How does starting work feel? What's your lunch break like? Are you able to take an hour or more? Can you go somewhere for lunch? Do you work with a team, or are you self-employed? When do you get off from work, and what do you do afterwards? Does work follow you home? Do you have the weekends off? Segueing from getting clear on what it is you want your life to look like, I think that time management is a huge key to getting your life to look that specific way. And I don't mean time management and productivity at work, but rather making the time to do the things that you most enjoy in your life, because I really do feel like it's those things that will lead you to your dream life. After all, it is the people who prioritize enjoying their lives that actually enjoy their lives. I think that one of the most effective ways to manage your time in a best life foundation sort of way is by having morning and evening routines that you absolutely love. Another key time management thing that really helps me is setting time limits on my phone. So for me, between 6 a.m. and 5 p.m., I cannot access Instagram, YouTube, or Pinterest because these are the apps that I find myself spending the most unproductive amounts of time on. I also recommend setting a password for these restrictions. You don't have to use a password, but I find that by setting a password that regularly reminds me of my dream life or my ultimate goals, I am so much less likely to become distracted by Pinterest or YouTube or Instagram during the time that I'm meant to be working. Another more difficult but very essential part of living your dream life is to not compare yourself to other people and to not let the judgment of others be what defines your own self-worth. Your story is unique to you. Do not let the success or failures of other people intimidate you out of living your dream life. We literally have no idea what goes on behind the scenes of these people's lives. That person or that content creator that you admire so much could be using face filters or body filters, or have a whole team of people working for them. I think there's a quote that says, "Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle." There's just no way of knowing what that other person has been through. Sometimes they've just been way more privileged than you, and you cannot help but be behind because of that. It's just really, really unfair to compare yourself to anyone else. But I know it's really, really hard not to do. And in kind of the same domain, if you find yourself paralyzed of fear by what other people will think of you, if you admit your dream life or admit what it is you truly want to do, let that go. You have to let that go. When pursuing your dreams, you have to remember that what people think of you or judge you has nothing to do with you, actually, and everything to do with them. People are so insecure. We as human beings are so insecure, and we need to feel validated. And unfortunately, we're trained to find validation in the acceptance of other people. I just want to see you living a life in which you're 100% you without feeling judged or needing validation from other people. And I can't stand that that feels next to impossible, but it is absolutely something to strive towards. So, really quick, go ahead and make a list of all your biggest fears, whether it's related to the judgment of others or your comparison to others. It doesn't have to be just that. Just write down all your biggest fears in relation to pursuing your dream life. Be honest, own them, just get it all out. Anything that comes to mind, no matter how big, no matter how small. It can be the longest list ever. Once you've done this, go ahead and read through your list and recognize your fears for what they are. Complete nonsense. I know that there are really scary things like not being able to support your family that depends on you, or failing and losing those that you most care about. There are some really big, serious fears, but when it comes down to it, fear in and of itself does not do any good for you in this type of situation. And so you have to recognize it, acknowledge it, and then just get rid of it. Try your best to act as if you're not afraid of these things. Because really, even the most secure of life circumstances can just be taken away like that. Like, nothing is guaranteed. So the fear of losing something or the fear of not succeeding really has no footing or no substance, because you don't have that security to begin with. Basically, when you think about it, no matter your hardships, you have overcome so much to get here. And if your past self knew some of the things that you've faced to get to this point, they'd be terrified probably, but you did it, and you will always do it. You will always get through. So do not let comparison to other people hold you back, or judgment from others hold you back. Forgiveness is another key part of living your dream life. It is important to forgive others, but I think that it's possibly even more important and more difficult to forgive yourself, especially if you're nowhere near where you thought you would be or where you want to be. Maybe you've done everything you can to make your dream life manifest itself and it just has not worked out, and that is more than okay. Forgive yourself and move on, because you know what? Guilt and shame and self-criticism are some of the most destructive forces in your life, and they do no one any good whatsoever, least of all yourself. Learn to recognize your self-deprecating thoughts for what they are, and do not let them determine your self-worth. All that you can do is your best, and recognize that your best does not always look the same from day to day. But as long as you've given it your best, guilt, shame, and self-criticism have no place in your heart. So let that go. Forgive yourself, okay, friend? But seriously, we can feel and we can want and we can dream. But I think that the most essential ingredient to living your dream life is action. We have to take action. It's as Don Miguel Ruiz says in the Four Agreements, our biggest fear is not death, but rather our biggest fear is to take the risk to live. So friends, I know that it can be very scary, but take action. Today is the start of a new dream. There is no better time than the present. Take action. And it doesn't have to be huge. You do not need to quit your job and dive headfirst into freelancing or whatever it is that your dream is. You don't need to do that. In fact, I recommend that you don't do that. Taking action does not have to be grandiose. It can be something as simple as making a Pinterest board of what your dream life looks like, or signing up for a Skillshare course that applies to whatever you want to do. Maybe it's purchasing a domain for the website that you'll have. Just try and do one thing each and every single day that will get you closer towards your dream life. And then my final step is, of course, to believe in yourself, oh wondrous you, because there is no right or wrong way to be. In the end, it is just you. And everybody else can think that you're crazy. But if you believe in yourself, there's simply no way that you can fail.